one hell of a series. Let's hope we get some fireworks out of this one too. In the top left side of Lightshade, we're looking at the main base of our French Terran player. He is MarineLorD.
And in the bottom right-hand side, our red Zerg is, of course, Reynor.
You know what? There is a song about the boys being back in town. We should make a song about the boys leaving town too.
The boys are out of town now.
Yeah. The boys are growing up and they're gonna explore the great outdoors of Lightshade. As MarineLorD is gonna throw down a couple of barracks in the center. I kind of like building it in the center, you know? Yeah, like everyone is always like scouting at the weird spots because you're not supposed to just build your barracks in the middle, Waddy. So why wouldn't you just build your barracks in the middle? Seems like the second Overlord is gonna find them though, but I still kind of like the positioning, and it's gonna take a little while before Reynor actually gets the heads up that this is happening.
He's not going to see it too far ahead of Marines and SCVs actually moving forward. I mean, there's drones scouting around as well. It's going to come all the way up here, so he's putting a lot of money into scouting it, and right now he's not actually going to see it, huh?
He changed, oh my goodness, he changed the course of the Overlord. The Overlord was actually heading towards the barracks. The drone barely misses it. The Overlord is so damn close, but
oh my God,
that man needs to set up binoculars. This is ridiculous. Reynor has scouted almost every little thing other than right where the barracks are built. Now Reynor gets the heads up. The Marines and SCVs are heading towards his natural. Well, MarineLorD, if this is ever going to work, this should be the moment.
Yep, I mean, this is best case scenario, really, is we do see the triple bunker going down. I mean, we want to guarantee one of these goes up. This is absolutely the way to do that. So, 3 bunkers, Marines sit behind. Reynor just immediately says, roach roaring, let's get that down. Not going to mess around with the Zerglings or the drone pool, just going to get to roaches as soon as possible.
But that does mean that he's giving up on the hatchery, right? There's no way that we're going to have to keep this hatchery alive.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Like, you really just go straight at roaches, you don't contest this at all. Hatchery should just die.
I feel like it would have been lovely if Reynor had one drone out on the map, right? So we could maybe throw down a hatchery elsewhere, even though I guess you don't really have money for that if you also want to build roaches and ravages to begin with. And this is going to be a fun one where Reynor is going to be forced to start off on one base. And I think, you know what, if you would ask him right now if he would prefer to see a couple Phoenix flying around or 3 bunkers in his natural, what do you think he would choose, Waddy?
Neither, really. Yeah, I don't know what you think, really. Probably the bunkers, because they're here right now, you know? Yesterday is easy to forget. This is obviously kind of really nice from MarineLorD for the simple fact that it's also just 2 racks, right? Like, it's not like he was super committed to this. Usually 2 racks killing a hatchery is really good news for Terran player. And he's also going to supply block Reynor with an Overlord kill.
Yep. And I kind of like the fact that we have so many bunkers, which means that even 1 or 2 Ravagers are not just going to clean this up and Reynor can expand in the end. Now, this is going to take a little while since the SCVs are safe and sound on the left side of all these bunkers. So that is going to repair it. And Reynor is actually going to have some issues cleaning this up. It's really going to take quite some time.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough, that's for sure. I mean, 1 bunker's going to salvage, going to see some files, and that's going to be 1 bunker dead. He's finally going to get down to his hatchery, but, I mean, command center of the Terran Storm before this, high ground as well, so very little Reynor can do going back across the map as well, especially because a bunch of Marines have already started to make their way back home.
Kind of a shame that MarineLorD decided to lose those 2 SCVs in the end there. I felt that maybe we could have kept that bunker on the left side alive a bit longer, but I like what Reynor did. Reynor knew that he had to take this very seriously, so he just made 4 Ravages immediately. Didn't waste any time. He is in danger of losing a Ravager here. No, he's not. Reynor confident that he can win that fight against all the Marines, and he was right.
It's really nice to get rid of so many of the Marines there, and at the very least, he might get a chance. I mean, this is actually where losing that Overlord in the main earlier really hurts, because now you don't have high ground vision to just bow down the dump. The
Circling. We might get like 1 or 2 SCVs here, but yeah, Reynor is going to select the 1 Ravager that was full on HP to take a sneak peek up that ramp, and then realizes that there's not much he can gain there. MarineLorD is getting adventures with his Cyclone. He will pick up a Ravager. Well done by MarineLorD.
Yeah, Reynor doesn't turn around, try to punish that or anything, just kind of lets it happen. So that is a Ravager down. And the Cyclone will continue to hunt around a little bit. Of course, wants to see that barracks on the right-hand side blocking the hatchery location. So if Reynor is going to take a third hatch, it will be the forward one, which I assume is what MarineLorD wants. Otherwise, he wouldn't have blocked the other.
Reynor's gonna end up losing another Overlord, and that stings extra much because he's been investing in Overlord speed. And he just wants to know what the hell MarineLorD is up to. Well, I think he's probably counting on this being a triple CC follow-up. It's one of these things that you do really want to confirm. And MarineLorD is still being a nuisance with his Cyclone in the center. Gets another lock on, but Reynor does a good job in positioning it above the pillar. So the Cyclone loses high ground vision.
Really doesn't get to be much of a better opening than this from MarineLorD, does it? I mean, everything's gone great for him so far. Might even get another OVP, and the Ravages are close, and the Overlord is going to slip away, so keep us that alive. And now we've got Club Banshees coming through, so that's likely to get some damage done. Even if you defend really well against Banshees, they're still typically going to find a few drones of damage.
Yep, Reynor finally gets into the main base, and he will see that tech lab that's connected to the starport, and it's still spinning. At this point, Zerg players always ask themselves the question, is it real? Or did he just start it when he saw my Overlord coming in? We know it's real. Reynor is going to be forced to drop a couple spores, but because the third hatchery is so late, even when we have spore calls, Waddy, that spore is not going to be in the right location immediately. I feel that MarineLorD should be able to find some damage with these Banshees.
Yeah, I kind of agree. These Ravagers are trying to hunt down this Cyclone, and it is going to be another Ravager dead. Make that two with the Banshee joining in. And the Cyclone does finally fall, but MarineLorD's been doing a really good job of cleaning up a lot of these units. Now he's about to have Stim, Marines, and we'll see if he can do anything with those.
And Reynor obviously cannot do the trademark Reynor thing where we run around with 20 Zerglings and show up in the natural the moment the Terran player moves out for the first time. What do you make of the fact that we didn't have any Hellions at all? Like, are you concerned that the creep is going to get a bit out of control, or are you okay with it because the Cyclone was amazing?
I think it's fine because you have so much map control anyway, and the Zerg is pretty slowed down compared to where you are. So considering you're going to start getting Marines on the map soon, it's not like the creep is super outrageous, right? So I think it's kind of okay. The Cyclone, I think, definitely paid for itself in the end, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
MarineLorD managed to pick off the Queen there. That was gathering the most amount of energy too. And the other Queen has no energy, so couldn't save the first one. We're going to throw down one scan to pick off 4 or 5 of these active creep tumors. And Reynor now received the news that he can't go up to 4 bases yet because there's still one barracks left over from the early game.
Yeah, just gonna have to come over and deal with this, but you can kind of see the numbers, right? I mean, no, Reynol's stacking up a little bit of money at the moment, but you can just sort of see he's behind a bit on supply. He actually needs Overlords because he's gonna reach the supply block soon, and just all the little things definitely still just looming over in MarineLorD's favor, for sure.
Yep. Reynor doesn't have any map vision either at this point. Not a single Zergling on patrol anywhere, so he's got no idea about this little move out. We've seen Reynor take a very bad fight once or twice on this map already against tanks right on the high ground here on the right side of the debris. Reynor sends forward one Zergling, and he now gets the heads up that there are Marines and tanks already making their way to his side of the map. Two medevacs are about to join up with his army. And I really like this for MarineLorD. Reynor is going to struggle here because bailing speed is nowhere near done, Waddy.
Yep, he has carapace up there, and that's about it. Lings do get around, the tank goes down, he is chasing the Marine to the swift, and obviously a path into the main is the obvious choice here for MarineLorD. Gets rid of the 4th base during this as well, so that's a little bonus on top of everything else. That's actually, I believe, a hatchery kill, I believe, as well, not even a cancel.
Yep, you are correct. The 2 hatcheries have gone down in this game, so the Banshees didn't just cancel it, the Banshees killed it, and they can try to go maybe for another cancel, even though the Queens are on that trail. MarineLorD is playing an excellent game. Of course, it started off a bit cheesy. Everything as a follow-up has been perfect. The Cyclone, the movement with the Cyclone, the Banshee control, the fact that both Banshees are still alive. And Reynor wants to make some damage happen too. Taking a look, maybe if all those links would have gone for it immediately, there was a tiny opportunity. You gotta respect this army of MarineLorD, because this is becoming a pretty serious army.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a problem. He's put himself in the right positions as well. Reynol's even building some Roach Ravager right now, and I'm not sure how much I feel like, okay, maybe you need a little bit more sustenance in this army, but I don't know if I really like it. I don't know if it's going to make enough of a difference. Good wraparound at least. I mean, Reynor should just be looking to lift up here and jump in the main. I feel like this is not a position he has to stick around and fight in.
Well, I gotta say good defense by Reynor because he really doesn't have that overwhelming amount of Zerg that he normally has in these kinds of games where it feels like we've got 17 Zerglings for every Marine that's out there. No, Reynor really needs to be very careful and very cautious with the fights that he's taken. He's still been making a lot of units, so he's down on 11 workers, and that's just not something we see very often. But MarineLorD, I want to say, didn't build a fourth command center yet. She has that one too. Because everything is lining up absolutely perfectly for MarineLorD, and it feels that Reynor is just playing a game where his hands are tied, right? He's handicapped. Well, handicapped, he's handcuffed. That's where I was going for. It doesn't feel like he really has the units out to make plays happen. He's still gonna try to go for a tiny run by, and this time the Bailey will find some good connections. So that's 18 SCVs, and finally Reynor gets what he's been looking for.
Finally, and this might be a turning point in this game for him, as 22 workers have now gone down. All of a sudden, MarineLorD is just down on 50 workers, and that's what Reynor needed because his worker count wasn't exactly doing great here. He still has to fight against this army, but actually has a Carapace upgrade advantage for a moment or two, and yeah, I mean, Lings get back in, some more SCVs going down again, and MarineLorD is struggling to keep this game under control.
Yep. I feel like MarineLorD maybe could have been a bit more adventurous with his army in the bottom, because the fight would take place off trip. He's got 2 tanks there in the back line, and Reynor really didn't have too many units to work with, and on top of that, that hatchery was already low. And I can also understand that he maybe was a little bit surprised by the fact that Reynor had enough units to still go for one of those trademark run-bys and take on SCVs.
Marine's going to stim on through. This hatchery going to be in a little bit of trouble. Going to go jump on top of that Spore Crawler. Spore Crawler goes down. Hatchery is going to fall as well. And that's a nice pickoff. But Reynol's already replaced into the upper right. And you gain another massive counterattack. Ling's going to stream into the mineral line. I mean, honestly, these Marines are just low HP, no medevac. They should die as well.
Yep, and a couple of Marines were just rallied in the center, so those ran into Banelings. Also, it's impressive that MarineLorD only lost 3 SCVs there. I thought he was going to lose all of them immediately. He does have a little upgrade advantage. He's gonna pick up units. He's so indecisive. Left, right, left, right. For the main we go in the end. Reynor has no vision here whatsoever. So this could become a bit problematic to clean up. Been spotted. No, they did not. Reynor is busy running by again with Banelings on the top left side. And the SCVs are making a return. But Reynor won't find anything there.
Yeah, and he's actually going to start losing the main base. Ling's going to run in, and it looks as if the lag will be targeted, and that's when MarineLorD will decide to get out of here. So the lag goes down, just in case, you know, he thought Reynor might tech up a double anytime soon. Well, he had an infestation kill on the way, and now you've got to get the lair up, and then you can build the hive.
It'll take a long time. That is for sure. And now the spawning pool could be in a bit of trouble too. A lot of the Marine positioning here. MarineLorD getting a pretty decent trade. He doesn't have much vision of the top right side though. I'm sure he's expecting hatchery to go up there, but I don't know if he's aware of the fact that it's already been up and running.
Yeah, it's been there for quite a while as well, hasn't it? So keeping that 4 base setup for Reynor at least active as he goes back to 5 bases, retaking the previous third. And this previous unit straight down here to deny this Marine drop this time around. And it's still just Lings run into, you know, groups of Marines that can just be healed by medevacs, and of course they just lift and get out of there whenever, you know, whenever trouble arises.
Gotta say, it's been pretty impressive defense by Reynor, because he was making a lot of units out of 55 drones, and that's not a place that any Zerg really ever wants to be in. And it's also not like he was ahead in upgrades, but he's still hanging in there. Of course, losing the main does sting a little bit, but we've got a different lair morphing into a hive now, and that is in the natural. I'm still trying to find some damage. Did Reynor ever see that base on the left side? Yes, he did. He knows it's a planetary, but he doesn't really have the economy to carelessly morph 20 Banelings and roll into that planetary at this point.
Most of Val's gonna land. Just gonna see these few Marines in the top right again. MarineLorD doing a great job of dropping everywhere to keep Reynor running around. Reynor finally gonna get up to his hive. What do you think he prioritizes when he gets hive tech?
Adrenal glands and maybe Vipers. Like, I don't feel like we have the economy to drop an Ultralisk cavern and build Ultras. Then again, MarineLorD has been very heavy on the Marines. He's got 57 Marines, so maybe a few Ultras with guidance plating can actually make the difference here. But I'd say Adrenal glands and Vipers should probably be the first priority.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Ultras would be nice, but I think it's just too far out. It takes too long to get there. It's too expensive. Reynolds once again pushed away back up through this top side. He is going to actually prioritize the Ultra Cavern and the Carapace upgrade, buddy, so it doesn't like our plans.
Nope. He's like, you know what? You guys gave a couple good suggestions. I'm gonna do literally everything you guys didn't say. Makes 14 drones still, but this is gonna be problematic because now 2 Liberators show up in his main base. That spawning pool was already a bit hurt as we have a massive fight unfold on the top left side, but Reynor decides that that's not the fight to take. But running away from tanks means you're gonna end up a few more units there in the end. Reynor is just starting to take a lot of damage now, losing the spawning pool, losing the infestation pit, and he definitely hasn't taken care of that army in the top left side yet either.
Nope, it's continuing to advance forward, and MarineLorD's just playing a great game at the moment. Again, the drops have been good. This drop here in the main's obviously been fantastic, and I think as he deals some damage, as again, he uses it as a chance to position his army in the top, and I think once you get in this top side position, you can really, especially if you get into like the top right corner, you can do a really good job of just slow pushing in because it's so difficult for the Zerg to wrap around you at that stage.
Yep. Seems like Reynor managed to find the resources for one Viper. One Viper would be nice, and that Viper is kind of needed at the top, I think. Like a blinding cloud on 2 tanks or just abducting 1 or 2 tanks would make a big difference. And then I think the rest of Reynor's army is still good enough. But the upgrade advantage is about to become real big as MarineLorD's 3-3 upgrades are finishing up. And Reynor is trying to get those ultras, and you said you were afraid it was just going to take a little bit too long. Marty, I do think you were right, because kindness is not even done yet. The ultras are not out yet, and Reynor is just losing very important bases, the only bases he really has.
Yep, he's going to counterattack against Brandon. His mineral line on the top side, and again, it's kind of open, right? A couple units in the choke points, but Plains should be able to get a few SCVs at least. Here come the Marines are going home, and he does finally clean up libs, and the tanks are still down here. And all of this is just such expensive trades for Reynor, who is down on bases, not having the economy that he wants at this stage. He has a lot of drones that just have to long-distance mine.
Yep, Reynor has lost 6,000 resources more in this game than MarineLorD. Now, those are not super shocking numbers. It's something we see quite often. The thing is normally when we see it, the Zerg has been 20-ish workers ahead and a base ahead for the majority of the game. But because of the opening, Reynor simply wasn't able to get that economy, and then these numbers do become very problematic. Reynor finds a few tanks, but he can't stick around long enough to actually take it out.
We're gonna run back in over here. Lane's gonna roll on through with SCVs getting blown up, and maybe gonna get this base, but
It is, but it took a little while, and that's just because Reynor didn't have the money to morph as many banings as he would normally like to. MarineLorD feeling confident, so he's gonna drop a few more factories once they get more tanks out, I assume. That's the only thing he really has been building through from those factories.
Yeah, for sure. So just continuous production there. And Reynor just really is stopped for bases at this stage, and he actually has a few minerals to spend, but he actually doesn't have the lava, I imagine, because he's been losing hatchery after hatchery this game. So a bit of a difficult situation. Ghosts on the way up. Another attempted Ling run by over on this side, but again, at this stage, it feels like MarineLorD will have something nearby to deal with that. If he didn't, it would have been a big mistake for how many times this Ling run by has shown up in the exact same place.
And obviously Reynor is very poor, so I don't know if it's a decision or not, but I feel like what often happens is that they make Hive, they start at Reynor Glens, they lose the spawning pool that was researching at Reynor Glens, and they just don't think about it anymore. So these links still don't have their tier 3 upgrade. A couple Reynor connections are quite decent, and Reynor's ultra count is starting to get there, buddy. Do you believe in 5 ultras and a Zerg 3?
Not really. Not against the ghosts coming up, the tank count. The fact that there were liberators on the map as well. Here we go, we're going to find out. You just get around top of the tanks right away. Obviously, a lot of the values in the natural covering themselves with the natural hatchery and broodling, so now going to start getting cleaned out, but then you just lift up and you back away. You've still done good damage. Supplies get closer than they were before, but MarineLorD's still the one mining a whole bunch more. Well, I guess he's still stuck on his only 4 bases. I guess he's not that crazy ahead anymore.
Yeah, I think he was playing it safe. He's got plenty of command centers that could start flying around and potentially morph into a planetary again. It's more just that I think he tried to keep the game simple for himself, and he's like, let's just focus on these fights, because I believe I have the better army at this point. And he did save the ghosts there, right? And I think that's the most important thing. We're looking at 7 ghosts. I mean, 6 ultras against 7 ghosts. This is starting to look very problematic for Reynor, and I'm still impressed by his effort, because he really didn't have the Reynor economy that he normally has because of that double barracks opening proxy that we had in the beginning of the game, but he refuses to go down without a fight.
Yeah, it really will not go down without a fight at all. Supplies closer than they've been in a good long while, and maybe a chance right now for Reynor to somehow take a really good fight, maybe swing things, but it's still going to be tough. Little units over here going to get forced to pick up. Reynor's counterattacking around the left. He's going to find this morphing planetary, so he's going to keep MarineLorD away from expanding bottom left side. Of course, with the 12 o'clock base up, at least MarineLorD does have a fresh base to work with.
Yeah, this is indeed becoming a little bit problematic for MarineLorD. It is important to secure one fresh base, but yeah, having the one on the right side of his main is nice. Even though that one in a way is very exposed because it's not a planetary, but he's got his entire army there, and he also has the sensor tower. So that's going to keep those SC2 safe. Reynor has still not resourced the Reynor plants.
Yep. Just saying, all +3 melee, right? Important upgrade to this, and it could have made the difference, or maybe could help in some of these fights too. The double snipe on the Ultra almost kills it right away. And counterattack will continue for a few moments longer, but with a tank there, Ghost, Marauder. Reynolds is going to pull it back around, maybe try and flank in on this army, as right now he's just getting sniped to death.
This is where the goals shine. When we are sort of fighting, but not really fighting. You can just drop a couple snipes and then run back to the safety that the tanks and liberators provide. Reynor has not seen that base on the top left or on the right side of the main. I do think that he probably expects it is there, but he's been very actively checking everything at the bottom side over and over again. He's got to know that there is a base there on the left side of, or right side of the main. The Lynx finding 2 tanks here is nice, but good job there by MarineLorD activating Cloak, keeping the ghost safe.
Yep, so the ghost survive. The lane run by will get, I mean, again, it's decent damage. Obviously, picking off a couple of tanks is just not enough to make up for the fact you're not just 40 supply behind. Your supply block to the point of not being able to rebuild anything. So it's tough. Losing those overlords in that upper right base really just hurt. Compared to Reynor, I feel like he's held on like 5-10 minutes longer almost than he should have done with the base count he's had.
When did he lose the hive?
I have no idea. When did he lose the hive? It's a great question.
The hive with his Viper? Or because I feel like we barely had any fights taking place in the natural over the last few minutes, but the natural was a hive, so unless Zerg buildings are shrinking at this point, I'm pretty sure. No, we lost the hive, and that means we can't build any Vipers anymore, and that is obviously very problematic. Because how are we going to take care of the Liberators then?
When did the hive it's just been, I mean, it has been a bit of a chaotic game despite the advantage from MarineLorD, and that's obviously what Reynor is trying to, create in this, right? Chaos and the chance to, thrive maybe and run vice to pull this game back. And MarineLorD has done well enough at protecting. There was a time where the first run vice looked as though they might have turned the game back around in Reynolds' favor, but MarineLorD stabilizing well enough. You can see with this push now, there is nothing stopping that army that Reynor has at the map at the moment.
Nope, this army of MarineLorD is just better than the army that Reynor has, and Reynor doesn't have the money to remax anymore. We're gonna now make a couple of desperate roaches. And if we're firing up 2 roaches when we've got 143 supply against the maxed out Terran, I think that kind of says it all. Reynor does find the damage in the top left, gets a kill even on the command center, picks up another tank. So he's really making the best of the few Zerglings he's got left. Is that an army body? Is this a lot stronger than the army of Reynor?
It is. It's
and bigger.
So,
holy hell.
150 day. And MarineLorD's never had like a super high SUV count, so when he actually gets maxed, obviously the army is massive.
9 goals, 4 liberators, 3 tanks. I believe we left 1 lit behind to deal with some of these run-bys, which I think is a lovely way to deal with those annoying Zerglings. And Reynor now stands for the impossible task of somehow winning a fight against his army. Even if we had burrow banings and the best connections, I think it would be very tough to win this fight. Reynor is doing a good job in still being annoying, hoping that MarineLorD turns around. And MarineLorD does turn around, but not with everything. Maybe this is the kind of chaos where Reynor can make a miracle happen. It just doesn't really feel like a very fair fight.
No, it's really not. Snipe's already trying to line up on those ultimates, starting to get 2 kills on the top side. Well, that's where these units are just outnumbered and outmatched. And you can see the ultra tank pulling back down. Ravage and Roach are like, go fight, but obviously not a great idea.
I mean, what a big win for MarineLorD, though. There's obviously a chance that we're going to get a couple of ties in this group down the line as well. I believe Strange is currently in the center of the pack. Goblins picked up 1 map win, or 1 best-of-3 win against MarineLorD, but then also won a map against Euthermo and Reynor. So there was a chance that maybe MarineLorD and Goblin could tie down the line. MarineLorD is doing excellent business for himself here. Even if it's only a single map, it's a massive one, and maybe it can be a whole lot more as Reynor is crashing in on his army one more time. from multiple angles, really making the best of the last few units he has, but it's not enough. GG, MarineLorD takes the 1-0 lead. Took 25 minutes after we started off with 2 barracks in the center, but they got the job done, what?
He's so far ahead as well, and I think that's just a credit to how difficult it is to kill Reynor, right? He's so far ahead early, and he just can't quite find a way to close the game out. Reynor's just so good at surviving for so long. That was a fantastic job. I'm on a mission to figure out what happened to this hive.
Mate, me too. I'm actually fast forwarding the replay right now. I'm like, when did that hive go down? I know that he was leeching energy of it for a while, but he never had that many Vipers, so there is no way that he killed it with a Viper. Now the players are waiting for us to fire up game 2, and we are here trying to figure out what on earth happened to the hive.
Oh, yeah, it's when the units went into the natural. You remember when I said the broodlings, the units in the natural fighting broodlings? I just died.
Ah, okay, yeah, with the big tank push.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Reynor sort of got to clean up, but MarineLorD saved the goals and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's when he like lifted up with that a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense now. I forgot about that big fight. We had quite a few big clashes, didn't we?
Well, it was a pretty big fight. I was like, oh yeah, he lost the tanks, but he got out of there with most of his bio units and all the medevacs and the ghost. Didn't know he was in that deep though, that he actually had that many units in range of that hive.
Yeah. Now I've watched it again because I remember during the fight I was like, well, maybe that's why it's not going so well, because like units are fighting the hive and then the broodlings as the units run in from Reynor, so it kind of made it a little bit awkward. So yeah, that's where the hive went, guys.
Big map win for MarineLorD, that's for sure. Taking a look at the group standings as we speak. Obviously, Utherma had a great start, but did ooh, he lost again today. Who did Utherma lose?
Denver.
Oh wow.
2-1.
Okay, well that's not good news for the Dutchman. That's great news for DNS, because I feel like as long as everybody keeps beating each other, it becomes very likely that DNS takes the top 4 spot in this group.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. He's got a big match today as well against Strange, right? So that'll be fun to see.
We'll be casting that after this one.
Yeah.
Group C, heating up.
Group C, chaotic one. That is for sure. And especially with a Reynor who has not really looked unbeatable, right? He's definitely had a couple series where, you know, he's dropping maps, barely dropping series. He is, of course, that red Zerg in the bottom left-hand side. Let's see if he can recover in this TVZ. It is Reynor.
And in the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who had a very rough start to this group. He was 0-2 and 0-4 in maps, but he's completely bringing it back, winning the last 2 best of 3s, and now even taking the 1-0 lead against the favorite of the group. This is MarineLorD. Representing Coca Authentic or something.
You know, I've never tried to say it, so.
Yeah.
Coca team.
Team Coca.
Yeah, it's easier. This drone, gonna check everywhere. I would after that first game.
I know, poor Reynor. And that second Overlord would have actually scouted not super early, but it definitely would have. But they do that so often, right? When they look at the rally point and they're like, nah, let's go a little more towards the right, just because I feel like that's where I should be looking with my Overlord. And he actually got an ultra late heads up. I don't know if it would have made the difference, because I think MarineLorD's execution was good regardless. But yeah, if the drones are already there immediately, maybe it becomes a bit harder for MarineLorD to get those bunkers up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, you probably get a drone or 2 down, and then obviously, how can you just triple block? You shouldn't be able to. So
no,
it's definitely like I said in the pre-show, Roddy. This is how MarineLorD wins a game. You have an unscouted 2 racks that just gets disastrous, and well, 20 minutes later, you pick up map 1. Maybe this is the start. Maybe it's mech time.
Yeah, and I mean, Reynor is obviously known to molt a little bit during best of 3s. Second game Oxide. If MarineLorD was gonna win one of the 3 maps in a straight-up manner, I would have definitely put my money on Oxide. I've seen a lot of great Terran performances on this map over the last few months. It's just, it's often a bit complicated for Zerg to get 4 bases up and running when they want to. And then especially that 5th base, I feel, is where Zerg often really struggles.
Yep. Let's start having some fun here in the natural expansion. Finally getting a kill or 2. We'll go back and forth. Queen shows up, and it should become a little bit more difficult to get anything done now.
It's often just kind of an annoying, or it's also just a bit of an annoying map. Oh, can we get the SC? Yes, we do get the drone. MarineLorD there with some good blocking at first with the SCV. And then he put the Reaper right next to the refinery. And then if you press hold, so it will not move, you can actually prevent that drone from morphing into an extractor. Well done, my MarineLorD. This is a solid start, Waddy.
It really, really is. That Reaper moving down to the south side, and Queen might come along to try and chase it down, try and pick up the kill on it. Reaper continues to just dodge out of there, though.
Are you surprised to see Reynor opening up? Oh, the Reaper is so annoying. And he,
Wow. No!
Wow. Gets the second drone too. This hatchery is damn late, man. And Reynor going up to 3 bases, 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. That's very late.
While investing into Overlord speed as well, it just feels like he's investing so much in the early game now, falling behind early game a little bit. He's just, sitting back, building 3 command centers. He's just, having the time of his life with his build order.
Wonder if he's gonna do something wild with his first 2 Hellions. Nope, he just wants to pick up the Cryptomare, and he does. And that is a solid start. It's gonna be Hellions into Cloaked Banshees once more. Let's not forget about the Banshees that were absolutely amazing on Lightshade. Kept them around for such a long time and didn't just cancel the 4th base, he killed it. All of those things really did add up. Still want to give kudos for Reynor, because I feel like giving the Zerg economy that he was working with, he really made it very difficult for MarineLorD to get him out of that game. But eventually, our French Terran was just too far ahead and played too solid to let this one slip away.
Yep. There's that last gun up here from Reynor, so it's going to be a while until we get anything really going for him here. And with that Cloak Banshee coming up, more Hellions. I don't know, I just get a little afraid right now as to what MarineLorD can do. It feels like if MarineLorD gets like a few drones with the Banshees, his first stim push might be really kind of deadly.
Yep, because they always are, or often are already on Oxide. MarineLorD gambling there a little bit, hoping to splash over a Cryptomare. I feel like I casted him just the other day. Just randomly attacking rocks and then actually getting the 2 active Cryptomares in the front. It's kind of cool. This time, he was off a bit, Waddy, but 8 rep.
8 for effort. May as well give it a go. No harm in trying. There's that Banshee initially gets deflected the game. Banshee 2 not here and ready yet, so when they join together, it'll be that little bit scarier. He's going to go in with the Cloak, and Squawker will just relocate it, but MarineLorD doesn't want to get too heavily invested.
Whoa. Reynor thought about jumping on those 4 Hellions, and all of a sudden 4 more Hellions show up. That brings the Hellion count up to 8. From Reynor, I'd be a little bit concerned with only 23 Zerglings, especially since the Queens are somewhat busy in keeping those Banshees at bay.
Yeah, for sure. And the Queens, a couple of them at least pushing the Hellions back for now, but that's a situation where maybe the Hellions could have fought a little bit more. Going to dive in here. Once they maybe get Creep Tumors, just lose 2 Hellions. That's all after Creep Tumors. The only issue is, you're denying creep on a side of the map that is not immediately valuable. Like, okay, it's maybe gonna help against the fourth. Hold that door because the Banshee show up. 1 Banshee goes down. Hellions trading with the Lings. Still not quite the best case scenario.
It's sure as hell beating the crap out of all those Cryptomores. 12 of them have gone down. And yeah, that is how does that even work?
Yeah, he put it down as the creep was dissipating. Like, it disappeared as the creep was placed. Unbelievable.
Oh, Crypto was going down already. And this time he does get it. Gets what he's looking for.
Yeah, he does indeed. Alright, well, MarineLorD has been trading out. I feel like the Banshees could have done so much more at a mineral line or so.
Yeah.
Like I say, he's been so desperate to deal damage from the left, and it's just so interesting because, okay, the 4th base is going to be over there, yes, but a lot of the time on Oxide, you kind of push down that right side behind the rocks on the 3rd, right? So kind of intrigued as to whether that's still the plan, or if he will try and utilize the fact he's denied so much creep spread on the left side of the map.
Yeah, he might do that, or he goes indeed for the push that you mentioned, but then the extra 2 medevacs will just unload on the base at 9 o'clock, and then he just starts stimming down. As Reynor tries to get lucky for the first time this game with a Ling run by, but MarineLorD knows. Actually finds it, anticipates the retreating path of all these Zerglings with his Hellions, grabs a couple kills, gets a few more of them as Reynor seemingly misclick. This is going to be hard, man. If 1-1 finishes up for the bio units, MarineLorD is patient, he micro as well. Reynor's going to need a very sexy engagement or he's in serious trouble.
Yeah, he's actually going to run into some reinforcements, and MarineLorD now running back. Oh, he kind of thinks about what he can actually evacuate from this. He's just a bit split up. Nice from Reynor comes from that left side and picking up the reinforcements. Definitely threw MarineLorD off as well.
Was that one tank? Yeah, one tank, but also a couple of Marines. Well done by Reynor there. He shot it down before it even fully started. Because MarineLorD wasn't totally ready yet to fight. He just decided to stim forward, see if he could pick up a queen or two. And he did, but Reynor, stop attacking your own lord. MarineLord's like, cool, mate, thanks for the assist.
Yeah, the Marines here gonna keep on fighting. We're gonna see things happening from the right side as well. Reynor goes into the lower angles and even gets a medevac there with the queen. So MarineLord's attacks are not working out at all. And what felt as though it might be a dangerous defense for MarineLorD is turned out to be, for Reynor, is turned out to be pretty a-okay.
Yeah, losing a medevac with 8 Marines inside of it, that's the last thing you want to see as a current player. Scan is going to reveal the fact that Reynor is already sending units towards the top. I feel like MarineLorD had a lot of money in the bank too while those fights were taking place, like 1,000 minerals. I'd like to see how some of those fights go with 20 Marines behind the tanks.
Yeah, that's very true. Is you just have Reynor still just keeping that little bit of a supply lead, right? Which is always a pretty good sign. TVC, his 4th base goes down without issues. We'll see if he can keep this up. Starting to build a couple liberators, looking for some additional harassment in the game. Of course, this game, Reynor, much better economy, and because of that, straight to hive, and there's that hydrogen. We know what that means. Aiming for those lurkers, and once he gets to lurkers, he feels so difficult to beat.
Absolutely. But I think MarineLorD is still going to be able to max out way before the lurkers will ever have their fancy tier 3 upgrades. Unlike the fact that we're adding in a couple Widow Mines with drilling claws. Reynor loves his run dive, but it's impossible to always pay attention to where your Zerglings are running around. So just putting mines at really random locations could absolutely be a big game changer for MarineLorD.
Yeah, the side of that getting shot down is going to die off there. The Baneling drop moving up the right-hand side is going to go for a little bit of damage. Would love to see if that can connect on a good few SCVs as MarineLorD. There go those liberators, so he's going to try and deal damage to workers. So is Reynor. Let's see if MarineLorD's paying attention. Feels like so often they're just not ready for these game drops.
Nope. They are the ones supposed to be doing the dropping, Wardy. We're busy setting up liberators, but Reynor already saw these liberators, so he moved his sport crawler. And in the end, MarineLorD is doing a good job in avoiding that sport crawler, but 4 or 5 queens will take care of these 2 libs. Yeah, losing 11 SCVs, not getting any drones. Not a good minute for MarineLorD.
Yep. Well, this Bane gonna run around the right. Maybe actually looks to jump onto a base, but actually gonna be a drop from MarineLorD that's gonna force those units to come back from Reynor. So Reynor gonna do a couple things, get a couple drones, and yeah, gonna stop Reynor from being aggressive or anything, and just keeping active. With the Ghost Academy coming in, it definitely feels like this game's gonna be slowing down now. You can get to like a super late game on offside. It's not a bad map to be very late game on, right? Because you know there's only 6 bases each.
No, absolutely. We've seen Reynor in games where he had money in the bank, but he just couldn't get the cannons out of there. Especially once the Widow Mine count goes up, the tank count goes up. I don't like what MarineLorD is doing now. I felt like we were a bit confused in the early mid-game, but this is all very strong. Not a drop in the left side. A drop has returned, and Reynor was a little bit slow to react. So 7 drones going down there to just a couple of Marines. While we're setting up a drop in the bottom right side, MarineLorD is stepping up the pace of this game, and I'm loving it, buddy.
He was really good at just being everywhere in that last game, but that was often an advantage, and it's always like, well, you know, easy to do that when he's got the lead. When he's been slowed down, stopped a little bit, this is him breaking that momentum and getting the momentum back in his favor. So very impressive. And just dropping here and then. Very low commitment drops as well, right? Just, you know, a couple of units, a few Marines, 1 medevac, nothing major. So he still has the big army pushes ready to go as well.
Reynor is going to try to counter on the top side, and then there's plenty of banelings to take care of this planetary fortress, right? Well, it's actually going to be a bit close, because the PF got some really good shots off. Can the SCVs out-repair the Zerglings? The answer is no, they cannot. But at least MarineLorD on his side, who got the base in the bottom right side.
Yeah, it's a lot of SCVs lost in a very, short amount of time, though, right? And MarineLorD now missing mining from that base, and does have a base moving to the right side instead. Just a little afraid of how low his supply is at the moment. His army's still okay, just needs to maybe... Do you think he needs to add on more SCVs? Do you think he just sort of sits on this and plays the larger army? Yeah.
I actually think I'm okay with not rebuilding SCVs at this point because I feel like you want to have the 70, 80 SCV economy if you're still adding on all those production facilities, you're getting your upgrades, you're adding add-ons and all that kind of stuff. I think at this point I'm okay with just sticking around 56 and just trying to get the best possible army out there. What I would like to see though, what is that if we have Widow mines, especially with drilling claws, get some mines near those planetaries to make it so much harder for Reynor to just rally in a couple of banelings and actually blow up the thing.
Yeah, those run-bys are definitely going to be what kills you, right? You just can't sustain your economy for long enough. It's a problem, and now your production going to be under threat as well. 90% of the main base, and MarineLorD is just not seeing it as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that could be big because the lurkers are done. They have their upgrades. They've got the adaptive talents. They've got range. And this is the one thing that Reynor felt like was missing in his play for a little while. He felt that he should have added in some more Nidus playing some of these EDP series that he ended up losing. He's getting a Nidus up. Widowmine shots are pretty good on the banelings, but these lings are feisty. And this time they do have Adrenal glands.
Didn't even need the Nines. Lings just kind of ran up the natural and up into the main base anyway. So, and again, here obviously maybe he's expecting some lurkers to pop out of there. They will have to rebuild 86 Zerglings all at once though. So that is something which is now on the way up. All of those lings coming through. The snipes coming down, getting rid of those overlords. There's one more knight is going to go down in the corner, but of course I feel like MarineLorD should have seen that one, but nothing. Okay, there we are.
Yeah, he was watching the Ghost voice over. It's important in games like this to keep a close eye on the unit's lost resource step. At this point, Reynor has only, and I say only because it's actually a good number for Zerg, lost 1,600 resources more than MarineLorD. It's just important for Reynor to keep these numbers somewhat close, right? Because it's cool to kill a base, but if we 3 minutes into the future have lost 9k resources more, MarineLorD is still maxed out. That's where it actually becomes a little bit problematic. So it will be fun to keep track of that.
One of the attempt is to steal that base away from MarineLorD in the top left corner, sort of thing that could make a difference later in the game if it goes unscouted and they can get away with it. So I like that as Reynor commits to this fight through. A lot of Banes crashing on in. Definitely not a cheap fight. He's got a few lurkers behind this. The Ghost will start to break out with some snipes at the end here. MarineLorD does not have the money to rebuild after this fight, and Reynor really does. He's already rebuilt. And on each bed. Oh, nice catch at least.
Yep. Very random Marines. I mean, Marino was setting up a drop. He just unloaded on the low ground and looked around and he's like, well, 3 Vipers with a lot of energy. That's going to give him time, right? Because Reynor doesn't want to attack with time. What's up with this creep tumor, by the way, on the other side of the rocks near MarineLorD's orbital? That creep tumor should not be there, but it's lost.
Yeah, it's a little bit out of place, isn't it? Definitely not quite what he'd expect it to be. As Rain's going to get rid of his happy top left. Reynor just going to cancel and rebuild it. Like I say, not a bad idea to try and keep that base just away from MarineLorD. Even if you take just a few resources off of it, it's oftentimes going to be worthwhile. MarineLorD going to keep on dropping there. Attempt of Nidus in the main base for Roddy, but it doesn't look like they'll go very far. Wings aren't going to keep these Marines away from the upper left.
How risky is it to let one of these Niduses go up and let a couple of lurkers get out and then you snipe them?
Yeah, it's depends on when he come out, right? If he's got like all his lurkers in there, it's probably going to turn into a bad idea very quickly, isn't it?
Yep. Now speaking of lurkers, they're keeping the bio at bay. MarineLorD not paying attention as there is a fight unfolding in the center of the map too. There's still 2 lurkers just shooting at all these bio units. So Reynor doesn't just get the base, but he gets 16 SCVs and a lot of Marines and Marauders there too. And that just feels like the cherry on top. Yeah. First I didn't hate MarineLorD's position, but now I feel like we're losing the bases. If MarineLorD was able to keep his planetary alive there, I'd be like, you know, all of this is quite alright. But now we are replacing that planetary with an orbital, and that's where I feel like we're starting to play a very dangerous game as sit down.
Yep, absolutely. These lings going to run up, empty defenses here. Attack on the top side as well. MarineLorD just doesn't have the economy to keep up with this anymore. And Reynor can keep on throwing units at him, and that's what he will do to find the victory at the end. Reynor is going to get the tie up 1-1. Wasn't easy though, Roddy, especially early games. Felt like MarineLorD had chances, was in a good place. I think it was really important when Reynor found those defenses, right? When he was able to push back that first stim attack, very easy.
Yep, he shot those down before they ever started. And that's normally where it becomes annoying if the tanks are set up and you lose a bunch of links. Anyways, we're all tied up, which means it's time for a little commercial break, and after that we'll be back with Reynor versus MarineLorD Game 3. Welcome back to the DreamHack StarCraft 2 Masters Summer, where we're getting ready to hop into the deciders match between Reynor and MarineLorD. I think winning a map for MarineLorD is already pretty good here. Wardy could definitely help out in those tiebreakers if we do get them here in the end in Group C. A W though, that'd be massive for him.
A series win would just really shake up this group, definitely give MarineLorD a strong stance in this. I mean, MarineLorD really shows up in these events. Don't forget, he went all the way to the top 4 of one of these tournaments last year, made it to the season finals. I mean, if you had a list of players you expected to make season finals at any point last year, I would not have had MarineLorD on it.
Wow, that's so mean, Woody.
That's just true. I mean,
kidding. No, I definitely think he surprised a lot of us, and perhaps even himself, with that top 4 showing at Winter, I believe it was. But let's see if he can get it again. First mission is, of course, making it out of this group. A win here would be very, very useful in accomplishing that goal. On the top left side of Romanto side, our French Terran representing Coca. Coca's little team. It's MarineLorD.
taking on the red Zerg in the bottom right hand side. He's just going to pull first up this time. It's Reynor.
The shade still going through his mind.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair on Lightshade, he really drone scouted and everything as well, so I don't blame. Obviously, it was his plan just going in as well.
Romanticide as our final map here. I feel like this is a map that Reynor in general is quite fond of. A lot of the early attacks, they arrive a little bit later. I do think there is some good Terran potential in this one too, right? The 3-base setup is very defendable. You can get a couple of nice wall-offs going. Kind of like the 8 racks where we mine out that little mineral wall on the right side of our 3rd base. Wouldn't hate seeing that build being brought up here. Because Reynor does still sometimes get a little bit carried away in the mid-game. When we just rush up to 80 plus workers and we try to survive with a couple of links and lanes. You take one bad fight against the 8 racks on 3 bases and it's all over.
Yep, that's a dangerous little build, isn't it? So definitely something to be cautious of here. As this SCV can get turned around by Lings. Other Lings are moving around the bottom side. So I'm just looking to try and be sneaky, but looks as though MarineLorD is on top of it, and that's a perfect interception. Wow.
Yep, very well done by MarineLorD. He's like, nope, I know the timings of all of this, mate. And I know you don't open up with a spawning pool to then only make 2 links just because you would have been afraid of my proxy barracks. Well done. Excellent movement on the Reaper.
Yep, absolutely perfect. Just going to deal with those Lings right away, minimize that from being an issue at all. And on we go with this. Reaper now going to get its chance to maybe harass a little bit. 2 Lings do get across the map without 2 Marines now, so Reaper delayed this long enough to be successful.
Drone! Wow. Oh, another drone. Yep, a little bit uncharacteristic. It should not be that easy for MarineLorD to find drone damage. Let's not forget about the start that we had on Oxide. That's obviously both players is going to mark her off here. You know, I hate to throw in the cliche of like, if MarineLorD was ever going to beat Reynor, that was definitely the time to do so. But he had an absolutely amazing start with 2 drone kills and a super late 3rd hatchery on the side of Reynor.
Yeah, no, that early game really did just build up to be like a, you know, a real upset, but then, like we said, Reynor was really good at deflecting the main attack of MarineLorD. He maybe got a bit over-aggressive just a few seconds too soon, and from that point, it felt like Reynor just kept control of that game very well, so definitely dangerous.
Because Reynor shot down that first attack without bailing speed even, right? He just kind of flanked the army when the tank was very exposed. Surrounded it. Yeah, if that first tank just sieges up on the right side of the rocks and then the Marines keep it safe, we're going to stim a couple of times. That is the kind of tank that will always get 20 kills before it eventually gets cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, well, as we continue on, we do see Cloak Banshee's going to be the choice here, so getting up into those and we'll have that ready to...
What do you make of that, Wardy? 3 games in a row, we're basically opening up with Cloak Banshees as Reynor is being annoying near the few Zerglings, and actually successful little run by. Can we get an SCV? What? How is that SCV still safe there?
Yeah.
I mean, still lost mining time. We almost got a heli and we almost got an SCV, but good defense or crisis management there in the end by MarineLorD. And let's go back to the Cloak Banshees. 3 games in a row. Do you like it from MarineLorD?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I do, because I don't think there's a lot of reason for Reynor to be overly aggressive, especially on these maps, so I feel like that's one of the main things with Cloak Banshee, can keep you safe if you think something aggressive is coming your way. At the same time, like, it did good in game 1. I feel like it had more potential than it got in game 2, because he just sort of thought he could fight queens, and he actually didn't do very well with that. So, yeah, I'm kind of mixed feelings. Like, I don't hate it, but then, is it just getting a bit too predictable? Could you have changed it up in a different way? Maybe.
I think I would have liked to see him throw out a curveball here in the final game. Maybe a crazy Hellbat attack, or quick marine move out with a medevac in the tank. It's a little bit different. And going for the Cloak Banshees again. As we can see, MarineLorD right-clicking on the queen. And we do get one queen, but at the cost of a couple of Hellions, and a few Marines went down there too. On top of that, there is a Spore Crawler here to keep Reynor safe. Not really feeling that trade on the side of MarineLorD. I think Reynor is alrighty with losing a single queen there.
Yep, absolutely is. You see MarineLorD now backing it up. It's going to find an active crew team. He's been pretty good at denying creep. I mean, he's very proactive about it in general, right?
He is Creep's public enemy number 1. He's sniping them left and right.
Yeah, not wrong, not wrong. Everything joins up together as all of the additional barracks come on through. Stim's obviously done, but not expecting many Marines to go onto the map for now. It just means that we're going to start building up towards combat shields. Typically, this is where you see 1-1 starting as well, so just waiting for those upgrades to kick on in. And MarineLorD to be ready for the next stage. If this is Hellions go right, Banshees go bottom, and look to see what will be done.
I would have liked Widow Mine drops with drilling claws in this map, now that I think about it. I see the way that Reynor plays, and if I kind of know what Reynor hits to go up against, I think like we could have opened up with a couple of Hellions and just do the same thing as we always do, where we pick up the creep and push it back a bit, keep Reynor busy, keep the queens in certain locations, and try to follow it up with some mine drops. I think that would have been cool. This game we only made... No, we made double Cloak Banshee again. It's just not finding any damage anymore. Like, let's not forget that in game 1 they were fantastic, but in game 1 all the timings were thrown off, of course, because of the proxy 2 barracks opening, right? We picked up the hatchery of the Zerg, so we had a one-day Zerg for a little while. That means later queens, less queens, later attack by Reynor, and all of that is obviously what allows the Banshees to shine and find as much damage as they actually did.
Yeah, no, it's very true. There's definitely positives to that. You get a bit more creep. Yeah. I mean, right now it feels like the last 2 games all we've done is kill creep tuners, which, let's face it, you could have done with a variety of other builds, right? And, you know, or done extra drone damage, in which case the creep isn't as important. It creates, you know, a chance for you to be more active with Marines or something. So, yeah, I'm with you. I agree. But, I don't mind him trying it again in the second game, but maybe after how it went in game 2, maybe it's time to pack it up.
Switch it up a little bit, but let's just pay attention to the army. That's of course slightly more important. Last game we were a bit careless with our first tank. Now MarineLorD is once more going in real deep, but this time he does force Reynor to turn around, as Reynor had a lot of units set up in the top right side. I kind of wonder what that was all about. There is a depot lowered at the third. MarineLorD's got a wall off here, but okay, you know, it's good for MarineLorD. But Reynor doesn't see what we see, buddy.
Yeah, he's just gonna stop and wait for a little bit longer, maybe wait for MarineLorD to come in with the army. Now he's gonna go. Depot's still down, and yeah, I mean, that depot just had no reason to be down at all, right? And now he's got Ling Bane in this mineral line. This counterattack is already starting to do so much damage. 16 workers, and obviously MarineLorD was right out in the middle of the map, so it takes us so long to get back into front.
Yep, and the Banex didn't even go off by the time we killed 16 SCVs. The few Lings will even make it out. The other Lings are still having a little Zerg party in the natural current player. As Reynor is now going to jump on the tanks in the center of the map. Reynor does have that one cool tank on the high ground, so that tank is going to be safe. But Reynor turns around for a second with the remaining Zerglings and Banelings that he had left over. A very successful run by. No idea why the depot was lowered. I mean, probably just an error, right? Human error.
Yeah, no, I don't even know what. Maybe he sent a Hellion around that way. I've really got no idea why it would be down. It would, you know, the whole point of wall there is you don't need to send anything around that side of the map on Romanza's side. So now there's no wall off there. So now Reynor can continue counterattacks in the same sort of direction. So if he's going to run up the left, he'll find the army here. That means the attack on the top side moves in without care and straight back into the mineral line, which is barely from before. There's Marines on nearby. He gets a tank in the middle though.
Yep. These are the kind of ZVTs that Reynor loves to play. He's in the zone at this point. This is his comfort zone, and he likes to just run around. He's got a good economy. There's barely anything happening on his side of the map. Obviously, right when you say that, there are two Marines, or two medevacks full of Marines showing up in the main. Yeah, Reynor kind of anticipated the early pickup and drop on the low ground, so he was getting ready for that. Marine like, oh, I guess I can drop. Kind of opens the door for a push in the center of the map. For MarineLorD is supply blocked. He hasn't even started the 2-2 upgrade yet.
Yep, absolutely. He's going to see these trying to roll in. Marines do lift up, get out of that. Other Marines still pressing forward. Fukuma, Squawkcaller taking some damage. Every 10 is building from Reynor, getting this up and running. Of course, like you say, it's his comfort zone, right? He's got something to work. His Viper's on the way. He's going to have all the tools he needs to just completely shut MarineLorD down in this match.
The fact that we have Vipers on the way before 2-2 is done for the bio, I think is very telling. And Reynor's at 97 drones. I mean, at this point, you may as well make 3 more and make Twitch just very happy and go up to 100. There's nothing really stopping him.
Absolutely nothing at all. His economy's going to be crazy. He's going to be able to fight, reproduce, go again and again and again. There'll just be no stopping his reproduction for a long, long time here. And you see these Marines actually doing a little bit better than expected after getting 3 of those drones. So, not bad, not bad. Of course, Reynor first look is on the way up, starts that seismic spines instantly. He knows what's good in this matchup later on in the game.
92 to go. 5 done. That cloak Banshee was heading towards the top right side. I'm actually very sad that MarineLorD just brought it to this army. I have the feeling that maybe F2 did. Because there was nothing there. No anti-air, no spore crawler. So that one Banshee that had a buttload of energy could have actually been super annoying. And that's where things get a bit complicated. Reynor sets up a run by Widow Mine. Gets, not that great of a shot. 6 Zerglings in the end.
He's going to continue to stream in. Widow Mines will get a couple wins. Decent sweating. I mean, wow, the Bane lanes don't get hit by that one. That's just unfortunate. MarineLorD does have this continued push. I mean, this is it, right? This push needs to win the game more or less for him. The damage he keeps taking at home. And, well, I mean, the position he's in, it's not impossible. It's just unlikely.
I like the way you put it. Now, I'm kind of with you. This is still a Terran army that you have to respect. There are Widow Mines set up too. Reynor is, by the looks of it, setting up the engagement, but he needs to fix his rally points. I mean, lurkers are amazing, but if you don't have adaptive talents, you don't really want to run into it a siege-stop Terran army.
That said, though, does he need to run in right now? Because MarineLorD's not exactly advancing very far forwards. He's just put himself here. You've already lost this space. Nice abduct on one of the tanks. Yeah, I feel like you can be a little bit patient here as Reynor, because nothing's immediately under attack right now, and time is only going to give you a better setup to run into the fight. There's now MarineLorD's going to go up this ramp, so now maybe you do need to respond to this a little more. There's also only one siege tank here any longer and a couple mines.
Yeah, the mines are quite problematic if Reynor sets up another fancy flank. Marine stimming forward, trying to get the lurkers. They got one of the 2 lurkers. Now Reynor brings in the rest of the forces from the top side. That thing gets absolutely obliterated. And MarineLorD is forced to retreat. Now, this did take a little while, so I can only assume that we've got a sexy Terran army, indeed trapped in the natural. It seems like MarineLorD was a little bit paranoid. All of these units were stuck because all the depots were raised this time. So, and actually, those units would have also made their way to the other side of the map.
That could have been very different. Reynor is going to have some money to spend still, running out of lava, so something to keep in mind for a moment or two, but obviously MarineLorD is going to be trying to move around, find different places. Reynor might actually be able to make something happen through the center here. Look, he's making their way in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still army on the bottom. I'm just worried there's no medevac with it.
No, that's true. I don't think it's going to accomplish that much. Maybe a few drones, but we have an army in the top right side too, and that army had slightly more potential. It's just Reynor has done an amazing job in spreading creep, and that's giving him a lot of map vision. Because of that, he can see these attacks coming, and he can send units over in time. Because if you look at this, it was technically a very exposed base. It's just the creep that gave him the heads up that those units were heading there.
Kind of sad there's no drilling pools. I feel like when the game's kind of getting chaotic like this, just being able to burrow those Widow Mines super quickly could net you a whole bunch of really fantastic kills, but something that MarineLorD has not been able to think about / afford throughout the way that this game's played out.
You do have a tech lab though. I mean, I think he maybe just forgot, because if we have 12 mines, Marty, that's...
Yeah, he should have it
then
now.
Yeah, then it's not a choice anymore, right? Then it's just a necessity. Because we are going pretty ham on the mines, and I like it. And we're getting into some liberators and gulls too, while still dropping in the top right side. It's actually kind of a cool drop. I always like these marine drops combined or escorted with a couple of liberators. And we need to get brilliant claws. When we have this many mines out on the map, we need brilliant claws.
Absolutely, as this can be seen pushing through the bottom side, kind of working around where the lurkers are. As a couple of medevacs up the right get picked up. MarineLorD's really desperate to keep on trying to deny the bottom, but now Reynor just says, look, there's so much down over there, I'm going to come in with my lurkers. And the Bane's going to hold a chunk of the Widow Mines initially as well. That phase looks as though it's going to go on down. And see Parasite bombs being dropped. Nice play away from MarineLorD, to be fair. And he's going to lift up and maybe even get out with these medevacs for the moment. And he's making a really good effort of staying in this. Credit to MarineLorD, he's given us a fantastic series here, just not quite enough in this final game.
This game is just being outmined. If you take a look at the income advantage that Reynor has had over the last 10 minutes in this game, that is a shocking graph. No matter how well you trade, no matter how well you micro, it becomes kind of an unfair fight at that point. It seems like MarineLorD does want to take out these lurkers and gets a couple of them with the liberators and the widow mines, but it also feels that the floodgates are open everywhere and there are just zerglings and banelings rolling in from every angle. MarineLorD's having the hardest time keeping any SCVs alive.
Yep, absolutely. There is just, like you say, units absolutely everywhere. And while he started to do decent damage, look at the back Reynor has to spend. And that's the difference. He's been outmining this entire time, like you brought up already. And definitely coming into impact at the end here is a couple libs going to see jumps, yeah, some units away, but again, very superficial overall. As long as Reynor can rebuild and spend his money.
Yeah, he's got more larva. I was just checking. I was like, this is actually kind of weird. Is he like not sure what he wants to make? But no, this has no larva, and that's why he's everything outside at this point.
It's happened a few times when he plays against Clem and stuff. I've noticed that larva seems to be almost as big as downfall in the matchup lately. So, not sure what it is. Maybe just the way he's playing with, like, he's making so many links. It is still larva expensive, right? So, yeah, difficult to have enough of it.
But then I remember a couple games that you casted where he lost 1,200 links and always had larva, you know?
Yeah, way back when,
Empire.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like I say, it feels like an issue that almost like this year or something. Or, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's because he's grouping his queens differently, or he's more active with the queens, so they spend less time actually injecting.
Yeah. But the whole round of different things it could be is some widow mines over here have been able to burrow, but then try and make a getaway from the spore crawler, trying to get out of detection range. I think Lurker makes a push on the left-hand side of the game, but kind of stands and fights for a little bit, but as soon as the Lurkers burrow up, it's going to be too much, and that will be